Is this working? Yes, that works. Except for I can hear myself. Very annoying. Monitor off. Okay, so now I don't have to hear myself anymore. So you can you hear me now? Are we good? Yes, there we are. I don't know what happened there. I ended up just using my non-stream version of my mic. Hey, and Dave's here. Way to go, made it. Sarah's here. And Paul, thank you for that help, by the way. All right, let's me recap what I was just saying while I'm muted. Okay, so today we have lots of technical problems to challenges rather to work with, and I was working sort of before the stream trying to solve some of them, trying to come up with some sort of like directions that we can go, and you know, I've got lots of thoughts and lots of ideas, but no solutions really directly. However, as a backup for keeping ourselves entertained, I also have lots of fun things we can talk about that students have done, and things Unreal have released, and different ideas and thoughts and solutions that have come up during the week. So I think at the very least, we'll have something good to talk about this week. Now, let's switch over to the desktop here. So I'll just give you a rundown of what problems I was working with here. I've definitely got the character where we've got the skull chaser, and we're trying to convert the facial animations into a list of poses and stuff. And so I've been looking at Python scripting and how to deal with that, and within Unreal, and it got pretty interesting for the connections that you can get with Python and just hooking up to all the rest of the world of C++ programming and stuff. So there's some pretty neat nodes that might be relevant. I mean, I think when I worked my way over here, I was discovering, where is it? Here's the giant Python list you can find of all the different commands you can use in Python and Unreal. And you just go through this like huge list and try to memorize as much as you can. There was some at the end, or somewhere in the end, that was kind of flagged as looking interesting. So what was really helpful was when I found the thing I was wanting to, or something that was on the right track, I can't find now, I was able to do a Google search for it, and then I was able to find some more information about it. So get bone poses for time, or for frame rather, was kind of really neat, because it might be able to get all the positional data of all the joints for a certain frame, and then turn it into like translational data, transform data, which maybe I could turn into a pose if I could figure out how to do poses. So I was like, oh, this seems like the right track. And then they have like a blueprint node to do this, so I don't even have to like necessarily make it into Python. So that again came out through the Google searches. So some interesting track that's going on here. Here's some people that are using the same code in a C++ project. So you can kind of see how the two worlds are very close together. And then I've noticed this node here as well, and it brought me to Unreal documentation. So I had like, whoa, tons of information from 4.17 about creating, how you create this node. You have to create a special C blueprint class and work inside of that blueprint class. So I was trying these ideas out and trying to get a sense of how this works, because it's kind of neat. There's all these, you know, you're creating a special blueprint that has like special wiring. I've never done any of this before. And then you get into like, you go to your skeleton, and there's a menu here for animation data modifiers, which is the type of blueprint I created. And so you can like add these modifiers and pull up some of the data that you're inside of it and apply this modifier to animations. Now I don't quite understand exactly how to do it yet. Paul says, do you need to know how to code Python to animate in Unreal? Wow, that really made that question sound like I'm misleading you into thinking it's really hard. No, it's totally simple. Python is definitely me trying to solve a complex issue that's very deep in terms of what I'm trying to do. Most of the time, I never had to do it. This is, you know, I've been using Python since 2014, and this is the first time I've been using Python. So by definitely not, you don't have to use, oh wow, I'm trying to say here. You definitely don't need to know Python But however, as a technical animator, I think there's some true value here. So it's really interesting to try and explore that and see what kind of possibilities. But what I really like is like you find something and you realize, oh geez, that's just a blueprint node I've never used before. Like this one. So it's like, oh geez, like I could maybe utilize that somehow and maybe figure out how to attach it to something and then might be able to make something happen. The example was talking about how you can just turn a walk cycle into, you can automatically find all of the footsteps so that it would automatically pick the right footstep and the left footstep whenever they hit the ground just by finding, I don't know, you could basically pull the positional data and then determine if they've actually crossed the ground or whatever and make an animation notify at that point. I don't really quite understand how that's super helpful. I mean, how many animations are you talking about? But it would be kind of cool if you had like do an automatic change to your animation and it would just put those keys in there automatically. I can see some interesting reasons for it, but anyway, it's way too complicated. I was also trying to look at the MetaHuman that we looked at last week, which is that new stuff from Unreal. I'm gonna try to open it up here. I'm gonna try to. Here we go. Which is doing very similar things that I'm trying to do here, and I was hoping that I could just find like how to, maybe they had a you know, one of these animation what are they called, animation modifier scripts that we could just steal and use, and I was like, ooh, that'd be really handy if I could just steal stuff. Let's see what we got here. Sarah says, I would like to make an exciting announcement this week. I went through the personal, oh, my window just got, or whatever. This week I went through the personal transition from civilian to animator and nearly to technical animator. Just wanted to share. Thanks. Yeah, way to go, Sarah. That's a big one. Definitely getting a position where you're doing what you want to do and getting paid for it is just like, it's like the escalator or the rocket boosters to success, because now you're not only getting paid, but you're practicing the exact subject that you want to do. So it's like all of a sudden everything just works. Yeah. Okay. So there is these cool blueprints that I found in here that's like console commands. This is an interesting blueprint from the MetaHumans where like you can put a list of console commands in and they'll just execute them. So I wonder how you could like incorporate this with Python scripts, because they would just be console commands. I'd have to look into that a little more, but it's interesting that they even had this blueprint node just sitting inside of this project. If we go to the skeleton, I haven't actually tried this yet. If we go to the skeleton, oh my goodness, skeleton, skeletal mesh, no, not skeletal mesh. All right, whatever, we'll just go here. Wow, where is a skeleton? Do they not have a skeleton? Sarah says, thanks, an amazing feeling. Yeah, fun. All right, hold on. We're gonna find the skeleton. Oh, I've had the wrong selection here. Base archetype. MetaHuman base skeleton. Teeth inflated. Teeth inflated. Hoodie. Shirt. Alright, here we go. Let's see if they have anything in this library. I don't think they will, but better find out just in case. Alright, we got the same animation modifier, which is the apply the modifier. Make sure you want to apply it. Sure, why not? No, there's nothing there. I don't understand what the default animation modifier is about or what it does, but there you go. There's a whole window and a whole lot set of options and a whole world to explore there. I didn't know anything about. And what was the other thing I found out about? Oh, yeah, what was interesting I didn't talk about last week was this, because it's got 8 levels of LODs. It's and if you look at the blueprint that it uses with the meta blueprint, you can see the first thing it does is start separating the LODs based on what's going on. So it'll like optimize the hair and optimize the materials, and if you actually take a look at the character's face mesh inside of joints, you'll see if I back up, it actually minimizes the joints as well. Like it's starting to LOD the joints as I back away, which is not something any character normally does. So I'm not even sure how you do joint-based LODing, but it's pretty cool that it's still working on the facial rig. So they must have very carefully laid out like which joints are primary joints and which ones are just sort of like secondary additional joints. But yeah, it's very interesting that it can like LOD joints as well. Okay, so that was my exploration for that front. I'm not really going to worry about this right now because I really feel like it's like a rabbit hole of frustration and chaos at the moment. And then we have another rabbit hole to talk about. So we're coming back to the NXT Maya thing. I still have no idea why this node is not able to edit with code. I am going to try today installing the latest version that came out 9 days ago and see if that has any differences to it. But there was some weird stuff that was happening, so when I install the new version, I may try to go over some of that stuff. Because I don't, even in the little help documentation, it doesn't say anything about them being red. It doesn't say anything about buttons you have to push, and it doesn't say anything about crossing it off. It's almost like it's not connected to the world, or not connected to Maya. I think that's what's going on, but I don't know how to troubleshoot that, and I don't know. Oh, here, this is the layer manager. Like, this is all crossed off in red, so I definitely feel like we're missing something. And one of the things I discovered was if you're not inside this window and you're inside of Maya. Oh, we got some more messages here. Rizwan. Are you in through perspective viewport? Are we talking about Maya? And are you helping me solve this NXT? That'd be so awesome. Are you in through perspective viewport? Does that mean it has to be connected to the viewport that I have selected or something? Do it again. Like, I just don't feel like we're in the right spot here. We're in some sort of weird mode. And the first help video on NXT's website is like, just right click and add a node and then you get going. And I'm like, yeah, that's not working for me. So I'm still... Anyway, so my theory was to... Oh yeah, and then there's also this create Maya context, which is kind of weird. And then it like asks you to put a name in. But then when I created it, it was like, that's the wrong folder. And I started discovering interesting things about the folder pathing for NXT and how it doesn't make any sense. I meant to say, are you in perspective viewport? I am in perspective viewport in this case. Is that what you're talking about? What would you like me to do about that? Alright, so I have the web page. We're going to go and do NXT download again. Oh, here's the actual page where the first introduction help document is.
I'm going to take you.
And we can see that maybe we can spot anything that happens here. Pretty sure it comes from black screen. This is the first tutorial. Already it's green and not red. So I was like, that's not good. All the icons look the same. And this is version 0449. I think they're well above that now. You add a node. There it is. It's green, and this is not grayed out. So, like, instantly I'm like, yeah, it's not working out. All right, we're gonna go to the installation, and we're gonna go to, where is the latest release, which I think I just got on the other page anyways, which is 3.7. And this is the release that they did where they added some Unreal, the initial setup for Unreal plugin. So I'm gonna find out if A, this fixes the problem, and B, whether there's anything fun to do with Unreal. And then if I get stuck on this, I have plans to start working on other things. I got all kinds of cool ideas that we can do, I think. Hopefully. Alright, so here's the zips. I want to get the Maya zip. And what are we going to do with this? Put it in... Open another window here. So the plugins that we talked about a couple weeks ago at least, go into Maya under modules, and here's our NXT plugin. So from here, I'm gonna, I may have to delete everything first. Just to be careful. Also, I probably shouldn't have Maya open. Okay, so it's been unzipped. There's the drag into Maya option. I'm gonna open up Maya. Chris says, I generally work with all 4 viewports. Oh yeah. Actually, I generally work with just one, so it's a bit strange that I have 2, in fact. Alright, so I'm going to drag this into Maya. It says, where is the NXT file location? Forget if this is the folder it was. Where do I gotta go to scripts? Forget. Let's just go with that. Then we gotta load the plugin. Which may or may not be showing up because I think you have to restart before it shows up. Assuming, of course, I put the right folder in. Let's jump back to that web page and see if we can confirm while I'm waiting for this to load. Blender plugin. Maya plugin. Wow, okay, so let's see if we can open up. See if we can open this up. Drag into my browser file. Select the folder you like the NXT module to file to go into. Ensure the location isn't in your thing. Doesn't really say what folder. Now NXT Maya should be available in your plugin browser. Alright, let's try it out. This is the restarted version. Worked once, so. There it is. Yay. Alright, there's our NXT. We'll see what we get. Not really all that hopeful, to be honest. But... Oh. Double click to edit. There we go. They just put a little thing that says double click to edit. That's all I needed. Alright. We have resolved the problem. And it even says resolved, which is not at all got to do with what I was talking about. Okay, so the reason why I'm interested in seeing this work is because this might be my backup solution if I can't figure out how to separate the morphs in inside of Unreal. I might be using NXT to separate the morphs and export them as blend shapes or something. Which I remember there was a conflict on that one though. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't know. We got some problems to solve. That's for sure. Let's see if I can execute that. I think I'm gonna probably spend more time learning about NXT. Now that I've finally got it working, I can actually start training, figuring out how it works. George, greetings from Peru. Thanks for the videos. It's very... I want to learn 3D too. Alright. Excellent. Yeah, I mean, today we're getting into a bit more dry stuff right now, but I think I've got some fun things we can take a look at in a minute, which is kind of cool. But it's always kind of good to address some of the dry stuff. This is where the struggle points are, where progress is made. Look, I lost my my node, so obviously I didn't know what I was doing here. Print. Hello. Oh, no semicolons. That's not how this thing works. And so what do I gotta do? Save or something? All right. Execute node. Hey, what's happened over here? Hey, there's our little hello. All right. That's kind of cool. And then what if we have another node here? Whoops, not on top of that one though. Node 2 says print by. Goes up together. Execute. Hello, hello. Wait, I only did hello once. Alright, I got some learning to do because I clearly hello and okay. So I just assumed that that would work. Oh, I guess because I hit play node. Maybe we do execute hierarchy or execute selected. Execute. Oh, I execute all. Execute from selected. There we go, that worked. Clear that out. Execute from selected. Hello and bye. Oh, there's execute from selected right there. Alright, it's kind of fun. Riz says, are you writing a script? Well, I mean, I have scripts I can throw in there. Oh, I know, the scripts I have are all in Mel, so I can't just throw them in there very well. I'm not even totally sure yet if I need to use NXT yet. It does have the new Unreal integration, which I think is fairly, like, not fully fleshed out yet. So I don't even know how to get into, like, how do we change the node to Unreal nodes? I don't even understand that yet. There's a lot of interesting learning on that front as well, but I don't even know where to start for that stuff, honestly. I mean, I wish I had, like, kind of a I've seen it happen. I've seen it work when they did a little demo on the webinar. They had a Python mel command that went from Maya and opened a new file, set up a scene, and then sent it over to Unreal, and imported it into Unreal. But I really don't understand how they're exactly talking to Unreal through a node. Like, I mean, there's definitely going to be some specific commands or some sort of thing to be able to be like, okay, now you are telling Unreal to do stuff. So I'd have to look into that a little further. Okay, so that worked. That makes me feel a little better. Let me save this as something. Let's see what happens when we save it. We're in NXT folder. See, this is what is interesting, and I don't understand if I did anything that was interesting to solve this, but basically NXT makes a folder in your documents called NXT, and here you got config prefs. Like, it made all this by itself, and it's trying to create this like custom Maya 2020 context, which I'm glad to see it actually does have files here now. It didn't have it before, and I was trying to like make one, and it was like, your path is wrong. So it actually wanted me to make the folder over here, which I had to manually do that, which looks like there's one there too now, but I don't know if that has anything to do with how I got this to work or what not. In fact, I'm just going to delete this just to make sure that it has nothing to do with that. It is good to see that they've got the files that are being created in here, so that means something's been fixed in the newest version. They had a little bit of 2 major bugs apparently, or at least non-intuitive issues. So we'll just save it in here, I guess. I'll make a new folder called saves, and we'll say bye-bye test. Okay. Now, I don't know if you guys have any questions or anything. Feel free to throw them my way. So here's the what project is this? This is the Skull Chaser one. Yeah, so we're gonna put this away for a second. Okay, so we got 3 cool things. Well, definitely 2 cool things to talk about. One is we have somebody who is creating some awesome animations in Unreal, so we're going to take a look at that and help them out with their file. The other one is we have someone who made a game in Unity and shared it with me, and I thought it'd be kind of cool to talk about how the game works, or at least just demo it. And it's good because, I mean, this isn't really the game design stream, but I think this is kind of a fun concept because it's like, it's really inspiring to see people actually get stuff done. And this one, oh, I better find it first. Yeah, it was Luke. So Luke has a simple game project that he made in a short period of time. He did sort of a game jam, so it took him like 2.5 days, he said, to put it together. And it works, it runs, it's got some bugs and issues, but it's a pretty simple concept. And we'll just give it a go for fun. If you guys ever get any projects done, you want me to show them off, feel free to send them my way. Let's see here. What I think was interesting with Luke's conversation was that he was trying to figure out how to like improve his demo reel and improve his portfolio. I mean, taking game design. And my suggestion was, you should just make sure you have lots of finished projects, or more finished projects rather than projects just work in progress. And so he really took that and ran with it. So he's now got like, a fairly complete little project here in a short period of time. And again, he used Unity to make it though. my biggest problem with it was that I couldn't I couldn't figure out how the game worked. So, you know, partially my fault because I'm terrible at reading instructions for games. But it also was interesting to see like how when you have people beta test the game, you really have to be appreciative of like how difficult it is to get in their heads and figure out what it is that they're going to be challenged by. So I kind of, when I read through this, I got a good sense of, you know, you have to make sure that you've got like a good growth area for your houses and everybody's happy. So I was like, okay, that's cool. And then I'm over here like, okay, what do I got to do now? I'm clicking some buttons and building, and then I put the thing. Oh yeah, that's cool. I got some houses there. That's very good. But then I realized afterwards that I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to like click this checkbox. So it's like the order of how you see things. And then I'm like, oh yeah, right. I already learned all about this. Then use A and D as well. Move the arrow around, and you can zoom in and out. And then they're just like, okay, now you're on your own. Now figure out how to play the game. So I'm like, okay, I'm building farms, and I'm building houses. And I don't know where what's the cost? Like total unemployed people. And so this is my thought process right now. I'm like, okay, where's my limitations and turn 0? So I hit a checkbox. Now I've started turn 1. So I think I'm lost again. I still don't know what's going on. And we got some sort of a little bit of a bug that I have to work through. But it was a pretty cool concept that we were like getting pretty close to like, oh yeah, this is gonna be kind of fun. You got a little bit of a challenge, and you're building like, you know, you get some sort of visual differences of what's working and what isn't working. And then you can just hit checkbox over and over and over again until the game is over. Just like, I'm like, okay, I have lost. There's no vote of confidence. Apparently I did something wrong. So anyway, I thought that was kind of neat. It's very cool that you get to a point where you actually can show off a project like that. And whether it's successful or not successful, it's just that last 10-20% is such a unique experience. You know, you have an idea in your head and you're putting in a game and you're getting the logic figured out, but then it's also about how do you get the presentation for the user to figure it out, and how do you make it so that, you know, you create the fail safes and protect them from breaking the game or going off in a stray direction. That's a huge portion of game development, so it's pretty neat. So we could totally do that kind of stuff with Unreal, but you can see how like keeping that project really, really tiny, even with that tiny idea, it still like has a giant opportunity for like people getting lost and communication being lost, and trying to keep that core gameplay working. Okay, so the next one is I'm going to show some animations from somebody named Kieran, who I thought was a female, and I realized later that it's a guy. So that's kind of embarrassing. Welcome to my world. And so we're going to take a look at something that we talked about during the open session, because I thought that was kind of cool. We can review some of the stuff that I did after the open session. And then we're going to take a look at another one that hasn't been touched. So maybe we'll do some more additional work to that. And then there's a piece of blueprints that somebody was wanting me to help them with. So I might be working on that too, just for fun. Get some stuff done while I'm doing a stream and teaching everybody what's going on. I gotta find this project though. Hold on a sec. Jump around all over the place. Got like so many windows open right now. Here we go. Soldier scene. It was the window that I had in front of me the whole time. So we'll look at the soldier scene. So one of the things I added, basically during the open session, we just worked on the lighting and stuff, and get some different aspects of it working. But one of the things I added at the end, after the stream was over, was like a decal to create a mark on the ground. So I'm going to talk about that because I think that was a pretty cool thing that we missed in the open session. Okay, so let's watch the sequence. Don't spoil the fun. I can find the sequence. Oh yeah, it's on the route. Spoiling the fun. There we go. Wrong piece here. Let's do that again. All right, we got running, and then we got some cutscenes and some lighting, and we got some VFX that Kieran put in, and there's our decal at the end that gets positioned on. So it's pretty neat. Lots of fun things going on in this animation. Main problem and the reason why I was brought on to help out was because the renders were looking really old and pixelated, and the lighting was very like there wasn't a lot of sharp contrast and lights, so everything was looking fairly like 10 years old, kind of video gamey. And even now, it still has that feeling that things are a little bit too gamey. But you can see, like, just by putting that little bit of depth of field at the end of this shot, really helps get rid of that feeling that this is all just pixely art. So I think that can really contribute as well. But working with soft lighting and working with like proper fill lighting and stuff, trying to figure out how to balance the imagery so that it doesn't just feel like there's a single light source that's doing everything, also makes a big difference. Oh, and then to do I didn't talk about how to do the depth of field either, but it's pretty basic. There's just basically you have your camera that you're going to be using. This that's not the right camera. This camera, and when you look at the camera object, you get a bunch of different focus settings. So you can see here my manual focus distance has been changed. I keyed it from 1 point at this stage, which I'm just literally just grabbing the, well, let's talk about this one too because it's more obvious. So this is keyed here. I just grabbed the sample tool, and you can just pick a spot in the geometry and it will focus to, wow, that's totally not working right now. That's really making my argument go right now. What's happening? Why won't you just do what you're supposed to do? There we go. Anyway, there's your focus distance. And the reason why the focus distance is so deep, like thick like that, is because I've got the aperture set really, really low. So if you increase the aperture level, it actually makes there's less depth of field. And I'm sure there's a lot more theory behind the aperture amount to depth of field and how that all works. And you don't want to go too crazy with your depth of field anyways, because that makes everything look like it's all, you know, teeny tiny little objects. But it does have a nice ability to blur out the background if you need to. And it's just here on the timeline, so you can actually key your aperture if you need to. And so what you're supposed to do is, if your depth of field is wrong, you're supposed to just grab this little sample thing and pick it on the object you want to focus in, and we'll just use that the geometry that you've selected to find this focus point. So that's all I did in order to get that to focus properly here. And I keyed it. So now we got like that depth of field that happens as he gets closer to the camera. Okay. So the other thing, oops, gotta move a little further in the timeline here. I mean, there's probably some areas we can improve with the lighting and stuff. We increased the light density of the particle effects here, which was kind of cool. So the bomb blows up here, and then we all of a sudden show this decal, which decals are very handy features in video games that like teach you how to like basically, well, teach you. I don't know what I'm saying there, but they're designed to like imprint a texture on top of geometry that exists in the world, and it's based on the volume that's happening here. So this decal can just stick on top of whatever is going on, and you have to be a little careful because it will also stick on the players and stuff. So you have to specifically exclude if you want players not to be affected by the decal. I actually forget how to do, but anyway, it worked really good here. So we just I just imported a texture that I got from the internet, and then I created a material that has to be set up very specifically for decals. So decal deferred decal is one of the second option here, and set it to translucent. And then this option lets you kind of pick and choose what you want that decal to influence. So right now we're just using the color and roughness. We're not worrying about, like, if we did color and normal, the decal would actually like wipe out the normals of the object that it's over top of. But right now we still reserve the normals from the floor surface, so you can still see the floor normals, but we're taking over the roughness and the color of that material. So you can see it looks like this charcoal gray, and then it's got obviously black over top. So, you know, depending on your situation, sometimes you just want to use the normals only, or sometimes you want to I don't know, add specular or something. Oh, I mean roughness, I suppose is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, so this little 1x minus x means that it'll flip the black and white to black, and then I'm just beefing it up by 1.5 so that the white isn't slightly gray, and it definitely is pure white. Or translucent is fully translucent, even though we got this slight mark right here, which is from the image. I'd have to clean that up in a Photoshop file or something, but it didn't really matter because you can't see it. And that goes in your opacity. So it's not too complicated to make a decal, and they use decals all the time for, you know, making grunge effects around edges of buildings. You can have I think there's even some decals in this project already. So you can just grab a decal from over here. We just swap it out for some of the other ones. I just search for decal. Got rust dripping. And that weird texture right there is what it looks like before it's finished loading. So you'll see that sometimes when your decal is not working properly. So yeah, here's our like a rust decal, and if you kind of angle it on an angle like this, it'll allow it to not stretch out so badly when it hits a wall. Not sure what strategy I've got right now to solve this problem I've got right here. See if we can get that to like not look like it's so solid against the wall. Oh well, there we go. So it's a bit tricky sometimes because you have to like be careful about what you're using it for. This is obvious, I suppose, scaled up super huge, so maybe that's not helpful. But it is kind of a fun little way to decorate without having to worry about how much without having to create an entirely unique texture on top of the base texture of the source. Yeah, I'm struggling here. Just want it to like sit there nicely. All right, there we go. That looks kind of better. So that might be another idea to sort of enhance this so it doesn't feel like it's super clean along the edge. You can also add like little pieces of geometry that sometimes is really useful. Like if you've got a pile of cans and whatever, you could strew it around the edges and make it look a little more detailed. But because this is an animation reel, we're not really too worried about like modeling problems, because it's technically not a modeling showcase. But getting the lighting right and adding extra lighting and stuff really does make a big difference when you're trying to see what when you're trying to like present an animation. It really helps sell it. But getting good at lighting is really hard. There's whole career paths just for lighters, and it's definitely not a thing that you can just be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna do some mastery in lighting without hours and hours of practice. Okay, here's the other project that we didn't get to look at, which I'm going to spend some time on because I'm only like 50 minutes into my stream here, and I've got only one other thing I was going to do. Then I'll have to go back to the boring Python stuff, which I'm sure you're all like, are you really going to go back to that now? But it is something I have to solve eventually. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. We'll go to the sequencer file, lighting, play through it. Nice. Oh, I forgot to put the camera on. So with this one, like the fact that the sun is shining from behind means that these characters realistically would be all like silhouettes, which is good and bad because you can't see the animation, but it would, you know, make it nice and dramatic of a shot. But there's definitely like a missing feeling of lighting. Like there's no shadows at all. They have this sort of uniform lighting happening going on. And there's these bushes that are right in the front, and they don't even have shadows, and they're not like, there should be like maybe God rays or something from the shadows. That kind of stuff. Maybe putting more of a misty atmosphere in the scene or something might be useful. But we got the VFX going on here, and we got all the animations timed out nicely between the two of them. There's definitely some areas that I probably talk about in terms of animation polish, but it's not really a big deal right now. But it's pretty cool that all these characters are actually in the game and they're running with the textures and everything. So it's not an easy thing to do. Because there's quite a lot of texture passes that need to be added and connected and working. And sometimes these textures are fairly complex for getting all your normal maps and everything lined up. Let's take a look at the hair for a second here. Yeah, so we got normal maps in there and the default base color. Nothing too complicated, I guess. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the lighting. See if there's anything I can do to kind of like improve it. Or let's just take a look what's going on first. Here's our directional light from the light source. And here's our spotlight. Directional light is, again, stationary, so I moved to movable because it's a bit easier to work with. You know, it's not, you're not going to get such perfect, amazing results on your bounce lights and everything, but you definitely get that nice, quick feedback in terms of what you're expecting as your final product. There is some stuff that we may want to still try and do the build for, just so that we can make sure that the environment is being lit properly and the reflection spheres are being processed and whatever else needs to be done. So I didn't provide any help, so did nothing. It is strange though why these trees aren't casting shadows. So let's see. We have cast shadows on. Because it's directed too low? I don't know. Is that hooked up to the environment? I don't even see this light. Oh, there it is. Just really faded. So one of the options that you can do with a light source is you can add that bloom effect around it. But I haven't done this for a while, so don't get your hopes up here. And I'm pretty sure it's like this is definitely hooked up to the actual light source itself, so we're getting you know, the direction of the angle of this sun should be related to the angle of the actual light itself, which I'm pretty sure is called light source. Yep. So if I change this, yeah, we get angle higher, but then we should also be able to see the backdrop change as well when we do our refresh there, which is going to change the color of the sky a little bit. Oops, what am I picking here? Let's see if I can figure out how to do this bloom and the light. It's like, oh yeah, what was the deal there again? Is that inside of the light settings? Light shaft bloom turn on. Bloom scale. Oh, there we go. Max brightness. It's like, wait, what's going on right now? I feel like it was turned on and then they just turned it off, but you can definitely see it happening through as the characters pass through the light. Definitely blocks your ability to see the animation though, so I kind of get it. Whoa, why is it so bright now? Well, I guess because the color was too dark. It was that dark yellow. Bloom brightness. Oh, I guess at default was really, really high too. You are, in fact, looking into the sun. So, I mean, I guess in theory you're doing something that's practically impossible in actual filmmaking. You can't really look at the sun and expect the foreground to expose. Well, I definitely feel like having that sun a lot brighter is helpful because you're getting that nice sharp light coming in from the light source here. So let's make the, where's that other light? We've got another light in here somewhere. Spotlight or something. Sort this by light types. Is this it? Is that the light? This is called Spotlight. If we got no light at all, we still end up having a fairly bright environment, which is kind of crazy. Let's see if we can get the, let's see if anything changes with the sky when we build it here. Get some darker bushes. I wonder what would happen if we used that fancy new light system they have. The Sun and Sky, is that what it's called? Which clearly is making it a little overexposed. Let's turn off this light. Forget how that it says anything or not. You should not use sky sphere and atmospheric fog component at the same time. Sky sphere will overwrite the visuals of atmospheric fog. Oops. Let's see here. Atmospheric fog. Alright, we're still super overexposed here. Alright, I can get rid of this light because yeah, that's okay. And let's get rid of sky sphere. Oh, maybe I'm supposed to have sky sphere. Doesn't look good yet. Where's our build? Only one can be enabled per world. Multiple lights, skylights are active. Are they? Skylights. We have multiple skylights, do we? Wow, I feel like I've made it a lot worse. I don't know if you noticed. It's like, it's kind of bright right now. A little bright. Probably gonna need that spotlight. Eventually. Once I figure out how to tame this lighting here. I don't even see the lighting, to be honest. Let's get these... Oh, there it is at the bottom. Put this into meshes so I can kind of hide that away. I'm not missing anything here. Alright, here's our guy. Sarah says, hey Simon, did you have a chance to check out those calendar and weather plugins? Oh yeah. That's an interesting point. I did. I mean, I did take a look at them. They have day, night, daylight, day and night changing ability. It's not really going to help us though because we don't really want to move the sun. We just want to we just want it to look good from one particular angle. Let's just see if we have our exposure locked or anything. Maybe we're supposed to override our exposure here. I don't know. It seems a little weird to be overriding exposure like that to such a degree. Like that is mega adjusted right now. But we'll see. See if I can just figure this out eventually. Let's get that sun and sky changed. So we want to make the longitude, latitude be more sunset-y. Hopefully goes in the right place. You can see that black line on the bottom, but that's because that's the horizon line, so normally you can't see below the horizon. Maybe we can change that. Oh, I'm in the sky sphere right now. Oh, I can't even see the sky sphere. The sky actually gets brighter when I turn it off. I thought maybe it would help get that black to be gone, but maybe this is another sphere that's really, really far away. I don't know. I don't think so. Take a look if I can change that. Location, transform. I could transform it lower maybe, I don't know. Collision, input, actor. I have a solution, but I don't know if that's the best solution to do, but we can make a landscape that goes on infinitely. Let's take it lower. Make any difference? No. It is a little icon that indicating that there's a sky sphere being used there. I'm gonna get rid of that. Does it use a reflection capture? I don't think so. Here's our cinematic. Alright, we're gonna go to our landscape tool, and Sarah says, I was getting issues with one of them. Oh, were you? What was the issue? Landscape. We're gonna fill world. You think it did it? Is this gonna happen for me a sec? I don't know what's happening right now. Should make sure my OBS is cranked in terms of priority, so I don't go into laggy mode here. I don't think it worked. Let me click fill world again. Is that gonna do anything? What's going on here, guys? Oh, sorry. Great. Okay, great. Sarah says something to do with sky and lighting, but also when it started raining. There's sound, but no particles. Okay. Maybe the particles are supposed to just be spawned close to your camera or something. Maybe it needs a camera to be placed in there so it knows which camera to spawn the particles around. And I guess I'd have to take a closer look. Doesn't sound too crazy though. I mean, if the logic is kind of in there somewhere, you just have to figure out how to get it working again. It saves you from having to figure it out from scratch. Especially for the enormous cost that it cost you. I don't remember what it was, but like $10 or something. Okay, so what we gotta do is bring the... Can we just bring the landscape down? I actually want to do any more landscaping here. Where is our gizmo for our landscape tool here? There we go. Oh, that pushed it really far away. Wow, we are really far away in the world. Let's just get our Z to go down. See if we can just put this material on here. What's a landscape material? This means it's going to be super tiny. Now I kind of wish I made this into the water thing. I forget how to do the water thing. Alright. How do we do the water? I forget. Why is it so complicated right now? What else would it be called? Go find the video resource. Anyway, if we make this into water, let's see what happens before I get too deep in this. But it's probably going to be like the tiniest little water. Oh, maybe not. That doesn't look too bad, actually. Yeah, no, that works fine. Drawn Skull's here. Welcome back, Drawn Skull. We're playing around with a bit of cinematics today. We're doing a whole bunch of stuff, but right now I'm just covering some help here with see if we can beef up the quality of this animation's background and set design. Or at least we're gonna see if we can do anything. I'm not sure what that big gray stuff is back there. Oh, that's the gizmo right here. And what was the other thing I was gonna do? Let's change the lighting position. There's the tiny little sun back there. All right. So there's your sunset lighting. Now you need to use that spotlight that we had before. I wonder if we can get that bloom to work again with this other thing. It's kind of disappointing that there's no like natural bloom. All right, we'll put that spotlight back on. And then we gotta crank its intensity up like crazy because it's totally now super exposed world. Switch this to just unitless or lumen. I don't know. We need some crazy numbers here. Maybe we can turn down the... I think I looked already. Hold on a sec. At least the lighting looks kind of cool. Where is our little spotlight here? Oops. I can't get it to do anything. Oh, there we go. I got something. Just didn't put enough zeros down. I think you have to be really like creative in terms of where you think your light sources are coming from. Like, what is there? Is there a car parked over here? It's got its headlights on. That'd be handy. Ah, disappear as soon as I get in here. Is this light actually inside of my, There it is, it's inside of my timeline, that's why it keeps changing. Intensity was already keyed. So... kill the keys. Crank that back up again. Oh, it's even, like, positionally keyed, so that's not gonna work either. Okay, so we're gonna work on this frame. Turn off our cameras again. I can rotate around. Run Skull asks, what type of work did you do on Wolverine? I hope you're joking, because I feel like we've had this conversation before. Did not work on Wolverine. If it still says that on CG Spectrum, then I take no blame for it, because I've told them many times. I did work on X-Men Destiny with Silicon Knights, which is, I suppose, about as close as it got to Wolverine. And then I worked on, at Rocksteady, on, oh gosh darn it, didn't work. On Arkham City, and then I worked on another project at Silicon Knights before that, that was for like 4 years, that got canned. So I never even got to talk about it or show anything I worked on. But I did get hired at Rocksteady after that, so it wasn't all for naught. Transform. E. Oh man, I've got more transforms over here. More lights over here. Man, it's taking a while to get all that stuff figured out. Alright, save that. Should save all this stuff. Save all. Tron Skull doesn't remember talking about this. Okay, well then maybe it was somebody else. Sorry, I just thought you were just joking with me. Yeah, people ask me that a lot. They're like, what did you do on Wolverine? I'm like, I didn't work on Wolverine. I don't know why it says I worked on Wolverine. I keep telling them I didn't work on Wolverine. Look at this, the camera is up here again? What the? Man, oh man. Tricky, tricky. Let's change the transform location, or the rotation rather, so that it's on the, what is it, the pitch? Look at that, it's like up in the air. Is it really up in the air? That's ridiculous. Is that where I left it? Yeah, man. I feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again. Okay, so in this beginning part, we want to rule. No. Pitch. No. Yeah. Maybe over here more. Then I'm going to tone it down a bit when we get to the other side. Well, I'm going to tone it down anyways, but because this is pretty intense lighting. I'm just curious to see the angle, what it looks like. Let's bring it down to like half of that. And then maybe we'll put another light in there. It's really crazy because we got like this extreme like light from one angle, casting shadows, and we don't have like Even that feels like it's super bright. Maybe we'll change the exposure a bit more. Put this to like 10 or something. Oh, I kind of liked it better before. I don't know. This is where things get very subjective. Alright, then we'll try to put another one in. Drawn Skull says that was funny. Yeah. Alright, let's see if we can put maybe some different types of colors in here. Have to be careful that these colors aren't keyed. I almost feel like this, having this inside of the sequencer is causing more of a pain than anything else, but look at that. The camera actor is like seriously overexposed. Alright, let's go in this camera and change the exposure here. That's inside of the lens exposure compensation to 12. Didn't work. Weird. All right, I gotta come up with something better here. We got some pretty good fill lights. You can definitely see the action in the characters, but we're missing kind of like a nice highlight rim light on these characters that are being cast by the sun. Like that's pretty cool that there's this giant super bright sun hitting them. They should really have this nice shimmer around the edges. But like, what do we do to get that effect? I don't know. I feel like we're already messing with the exposures to the point where we got like extreme compensation happening here. We make the light, we make the spotlights darker, I guess, and then deepen the exposure more. Or no, wait, deepen exposure. How do we make it? We have to make the exposure brighter. Like this. And then make the lights darker. Why can't I see the other light? Ron Skull, are you working on the new Suicide Squad game at Rocksteady? No, I'm not at Rocksteady anymore. I left in 2013. to start my own studio and do freelance work and stuff. Moved back to Canada, and pretty much like a large portion of the people I used to work with at Rocksteady have also left. So it's almost unrecognizable over there now. But I think there is always turnover at studios. It's not like this is unusual. And the problem I had with Rocksteady was just its location. It's like near Kentish Town in London, England, and it's like you're really like in the pretty deep part of the city, and living costs are really high, and transportation is really challenging, and for some people they find that pretty exciting to live in a big city, but and I have to admit it was a lot of fun. But it's really not a place that you can have kids very easily, and there would be some people working there that would be like commuting for hours, and in the cities like just so spread out that like you have to travel for a long time before you actually get out of the town. And so that wasn't really very appealing to me. But I did really have a lot of fun. It was really good years. Those were like fantastic development years. And I really tried to leverage everything I could from that to like kind of spawn off my own company and do my own thing. And I guess in a way it worked, as now I'm mentoring, but I did actually really want to start working on my own projects, my own games, and sort of start something new, or at least look into what kind of possibility would spawn from, just really putting yourself out there, because I didn't have kids at that point, and I was really my opportunity, my dwindling opportunity to do something brave and crazy. And so yeah, I mean the project I wanted to work on, I did develop for a couple years, and it ended up being not successful. And well, I basically just discovered that it's a really hard thing to do, and it just kind of fizzled out because I'm like, I don't want to invest deeply into this idea. It was like sort of you were using expressions to choose music and allow music to be organized through that method, and it was solving a problem that I still have today with music, but it really got down to server costs and the fact that once you pay royalties for music, you really have a very slim profit margin. So it was like, yeah, and plus you have to be super smart to come up with these amazing algorithms. But I like the concept that I had of how you'd like use the facial expression to sort of pick your emotion to reflect what kind of feelings you had for the song, so that you could get organized based on that expression. And it was kind of cool, but it doesn't lend very well to like voice command controls, which I've never figured out how exactly to solve that one. And so that's where the idea kind of dried up, because we were transitioning from like cell phones to like, what do you do if you're driving a car? Well, you can't look at your cell phone and pick your music, so you need to come up with some solution of like, how do you communicate your thoughts of that song? And I started getting, I just couldn't, my whole only edge I had on that whole concept kind of didn't have anything to capitalize for that new technology. So I just kind of went, and then just as I was about to go back in the industry, I found out somebody I used to work with and go to school with started CG Spectrum. So, well, Jeff didn't really start CG Spectrum in that year, but he was able to hire me full time at that point. So I was like, yeah, that's really good. So I just went there, and I've been at CG Spectrum since 2015. So it actually worked out really well. But I was just at the point where I was like, okay, I was going to start applying to Ubisoft in Toronto, and then there's Digital Extremes in London, and sort of like looking for where exactly I was going to end up being to get back in the industry. But because freelancing wasn't working out. Well, I was getting freelancing gigs, but it's too stressful and too unreliable. So it's kind of a learning experience on that front. Although I did go to a lot of like business classes and stuff, learn about how to do business to business operations and sort of understand the I don't know, the funneling system and all these things about how you have to keep working to get gigs and all that stuff. So it was a very educational moment, but yeah, in the end of the day, I'm pretty happy with where I am right now. I think it's pretty awesome. And I still live like 20 minutes away from Digital Extreme, so I feel like, you know, if I ever needed to get back in the industry, I could just make that work, hopefully, and still be working at a pretty cool studio. Drawn Skull says, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to live to make movies. Yeah. That is a really good question. There's a lot of things to say about location, but it's sure to get all confusing when we went into a pandemic. And I honestly don't know very much about where to leverage a lot of these. Like, I'm assuming you probably need to leverage a lot of skill sets and opportunities and channels to be able to, you know, make things happen. So being in a location that's surrounded by that is probably what you need. I do know one thing I found that was very useful is when you enter, like, especially when you enter a new territory, there's a lot of these events. I mean, it's totally upside down right now because of the pandemic, but there's a lot of interesting events that you can go to that often offer like free admission for just people to socialize and chat. So you go to these things and you end up finding all kinds of really totally unexpected connections and contacts. It's really surprising how you can just go to these things and all of a sudden from one day to the next your whole perspective of changes because of like a conversation you had or you know, an opportunity that you see. It's just amazing how close we are always to these awesome opportunities. We just never go out there looking for them. And that's why it's nice to have a good list of contacts to work with, because then they can sometimes contact you because they're like, hey, I need somebody, and they're like, hey, I know somebody. Drone Skull says, I would Atlanta or California. Obvious choices. Yeah. It's funny how many people are leaving California right now. I've had this conversation with other mentors. It's like you're exiting in droves because living costs and wildfires and all these other things. Everybody's all trying to shift over to the other side. Especially now that you can work remotely. More often, well, I mean, a lot of remote work opportunities anyway. It's a lot more socially acceptable now than it used to be, which I think is a big deal. Notice how I got totally stuck with what I'm doing here. I can't find the other spotlight. We got this spotlight and we got that spotlight. For some reason it doesn't show up in the world outliner. I don't know what that's all about. Oops. 55. Alright, let's get another spotlight in there just for that rim light effect. So I'm gonna jump over and put another, maybe I'll do an area light, because I do like doing area lights more than spotlights because they produce like a nicer rectangle light, I mean, nicer soft shadow. And if I'm gonna get like maybe some sort of effect here, and if I want to scale it, I gotta make sure I use these guys. I gotta crank this up to some insane number. Ron Skull says, oh really? Oh yeah, for the people leaving California. Yeah, I don't know, I mean, I've heard from Justin, he knows a whole bunch of people that are leaving, just as of recently, just leaving California. Apparently it's a pretty common story about everybody's going to Texas, which is, that's changed a lot in the last week. But or they're going to Pittsburgh, or somewhere, they're just heading to the other side of the country. And there's lots of jobs going on right now in at Epic. Now that they purchased that mall, they've got like, I don't know, thousands of people they need to hire and lots of juniors. So we try to encourage people to go to Epic, but just because this is one of those rare opportunities, they're just massively expanding. But apparently Epic is also in California, so I don't know where exactly the... yeah, I think this is going the wrong way. Oh boy. Why does that keep rotating so weird? Oh, I'm in world mode. Here's our super light. Gun Skull says, a lot of people are saying Atlanta is the new Hollywood. Okay. Yeah, I believe that. I definitely think that Hollywood is not what it used to be. I don't know if this area light is the right idea after all now. I mean, it definitely would create a lot of ground light, which I don't know if that's what we want though. Maybe I'll switch this out for more of a either a directional light or a spotlight again. There's even a way that you can make lights only cast on certain objects. We used to do that all the time for characters. Just for optimizing purposes, you would have like lights that would only hit characters and not environments, and then lights that would only hit environments, not characters. So that you could bake the background lights but not have to worry about whether the characters were well lit or not. Not have super expensive lighting. I have no idea if this is going to work either, by the way. It's just me experimenting. Where is that rectangle light? Did I not get rid of that? Why does that still look like it's here? There it is. Oh, that's kind of cool. I like how there's sort of shadows on the ground now. That person kind of like hides in the shadow at the end. Definitely like this super bright fill light happening right here, which doesn't make a lot of sense. Let's see here if the intensity here is... There's no key on the intensity anymore. Alright, fair enough. Pull that down. Gun Skull says, the only problem I have with making movies is people want to have full ownership on the IP, and that is why I want to build my own studio and brand so I can make what I want. Yeah, I mean, it's true. People do tend to, they're going to give you money, want to have ownership over it so that they can profit from the risk that they're taking. I mean, that's a tricky thing to get into. I really don't like have any advice except for, you know, make sure you have a good solid story and a good plan and work really, really hard. I think that's about those are the main ones. But you know, it takes many tries too. I think that's another big point. It doesn't always work the first time, but that doesn't mean you should give up. Sometimes you just gotta keep going and learning from why it didn't work the first time, and then picking up and doing it again. I mean, for myself, I know that, you know, even though my previous idea didn't work out, I'm sort of just looking at it and evaluating where I could have changed that to make it better and more successful. And I mean, I'm glad I didn't really go full into it because I just don't think it would have worked. But as I go forward, after my kids are old enough to go to school and stuff, that I don't have to, I have more free time. I'd like to get into more game production and start building concepts. It's hard to say where that's going to go, but I definitely have like lots of interesting thoughts about how to do that. And you know, I'm not going to necessarily expect the first idea to be successful, but you just get started and go for it, and see where it takes you, and work really hard, and then and just keep going. Try another one. Well, after that, see where it goes. John says, true. I'm working on world building. Yeah, world building sounds like a good start point for making your environments. I mean, I must admit, movie making is definitely showing a different formula nowadays with virtual production and all the things going on there. So it is kind of cool to think that, you know, production in a small area can still end up with results that feel like they're high budget and complex scenes. And so there's a lot of costs involved with virtual production. It's not like it's a cheap thing to do, but the tools to do it with, like Unreal, is pretty cheap. So like pretty much, well, I guess you gotta pay the cost of royalties and stuff, but otherwise it's pretty cheap, especially for people just getting started. Just that would like, it'd be a big bloom right there. That would be perfect. I feel like doing a bloom is possible. I just don't understand why they don't have that option. Maybe I'm supposed to like put atmospherical effect in the world. I don't know. Maybe that's all it is. Maybe if I turn on see, I keep coming over into this world settings to turn stuff on, and then I'm always like, oh wait, what is it? Is it here? No, wait, it's not here. But I think what we need is like some kind of shoot, where's the fog stuff? I forget. We got exponential height fog, atmospheric fog. And then with atmospheric fog, we can turn on volumetric fog. There we go. It has definitely made our land look a lot brighter. Maybe we can bring it down a notch here. Oh wait, no, it's a lot brighter, meaning it has to go up a notch. Seems to really lose quality here. Oh, that was just because it's focusing. Oh, even the VFX now looks black against that. You can really see, like, when you have volumetric fog, the shadowing that's happening there. That's just a calculation restriction. Alright, let's turn it off. Oh, you're still getting it. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the volumetric fog isn't the greatest idea. Although when you're doing a render, maybe it won't show you that problem. Brunskull says everyone is doing cinematic universes. Cinematic universes? What does that mean? How can you have a universe? Like you're building the whole thing digitally? Is that what you're trying to say? What is the deal with like there not being an intensity available option here? Weird. Yeah, I definitely feel like it's causing that VFX to look really gross. Let's just get rid of it. I mean, you could probably make the VFX different, but this just sounds like it's such a time kill that I'm like, I can't be bothered. Look kind of cool the way it was before. Oh, the VFX is black. Oh my goodness. So that's just an exposure with the emissiveness not matching the exposure of the camera. Boy, oh boy. Complicated, eh? Let's see what the VFX is. See if I can make any tweak to that before we run out of time here. Is it possible that there's an emissive option in here? I don't know. Color of life, alpha of life. Man, I might be on the wrong track here with how I'm solving this. We have a light source here. Or test line. Oh yeah, that's that one. Initial color. Is there anything we can do that makes it super bright? John Skull says, I mean universes like Avengers. Oh, I see. Every movie connected to each other, like Marvel and DC. Oh, that's what that means. Yeah, no, it's true. I've kind of given up on the movies for those ones. I just feel like the plots are so forced nowadays that it's hard to really be too captivated by them. And, I don't know, it just doesn't interest me. Maybe it interests... Obviously there's a crowd that does find it very interesting, because they're always about, oh yeah, let's go see what we can do. See what the new movie is. But it's like, for me, I'm always like, I don't know. It's just the same thing. But to be fair, I haven't really watched any recently, so I can't really make that judgment call very easily. I'm still disappointed by this scene right now. I'm disappointed by the fact that the VFX are all black. I'm disappointed by the fact that there's like still a silhouette effect on the lake here, and I'm disappointed by the fact that this particular shot here is not looking right. It's just, it needs that bloom because we're looking right at the sun. It would be an excellent start point to the whole shot, and like I'm tempted to just be like, okay, let's go and create the old sun light and then put a bloom on it. So you just put a directional light where the light was and just use it for the bloom effect, which I could do. But seems just a weird solution. I do like this part though, where we've got the light casting off the bodies really nice and sharp because of that spotlight. I don't know, I wonder if we could just turn that spotlight into a bloom. Can we just do that? That'd be cool. Let's see here. Oh, Tron Skull says cinematic universes are shared movie universes. Maybe I read that already. I don't know. Can't remember if the bloom was in the light source or in the Sorry, I'm getting kind of boring right now. I'm like trying to figure out all these weird problems at the same time. And I don't really have a quick fix for any of them. Let's go take a look at this one. There's our bloom. Okay, so H/shaft occlusion. Should have just done this instead of the spotlight. There we go. Now we're getting a nice looking sunlight again. If we kill that spotlight, what is that going to look like? It does have some advantages still. Oh yeah, it does. It makes the ground not disappear. I think we could, if we take this directional light, the one that's causing this bloom, which conveniently is over here instead of over here. I don't know. You must be like, oh, where's the really bright spot of the screen, and then use that as your layer. I don't really know how that makes any sense. Anyways, if we put it in our scene, we can actually control it. So we should be able to say, like, or just drag it right in here. And go, alright, intensity, or not even the intensity, what I'm trying to bring in is the bloom scale, I guess. So you could be like, tone it down. Well, we can maybe put it there. And then maybe tone it down even more here. Maybe not. I don't know whether you wanted to tone it down or you want more. Question. You could definitely like get it out of the way for over here if you wanted to, or maybe beef it up. You can't even see it in the shot, so it wouldn't cause a bloom. Anyway, that was kind of fun. We actually managed to do something a little bit better at the end. Alright, now, let me just look at this for a second and realize, does this interfere with the animation quality that we're trying to demonstrate? Or have we just made a sequence that's too distracting with the lights? I don't know. Skull said DC is taking a different route where it's a shared universe, but focusing more on standalone movies. Oh, that's good. Sarah says, I need a third monitor. I've only been listening mostly. Sorry. Oh, yeah. That's alright. Well, I've been kind of like meandering my way through this, trying to actually solve something. I'm still not happy with the VFX being black, but I have to like sit down and really think about that. Maybe it's part of the material or something. It's coming through a different thing. Dave's gotta go. Alright, Dave, take care, man. Thanks for hanging in there. That was quite a long session that you stayed with me. It's good to see. And let me see, what else is there anything else I wanted to bring up before I do run out of time? This one, talking about the renders, talked about the decals, all the problems I'm having with Python and all that stuff is going to require some sitting down and thinking, and then I'm just going to hopefully show you the progress that I'm making with it. Otherwise, I might have to come up with like a really good workaround, which I'm like currently don't have a huge workaround ready. And I got to change this backdrop eventually. Although today it's still frigid outside and looks super snowy and cold, so not exactly out of place for having a winter snowy background. Hey, Dave. So I'm probably going to try to focus on making sure we get that backdrop changed within the next few weeks, which means I really got to get this character finished. Otherwise, I've just got to jump in and switch up the backdrop with something else for a temporary amount of time, maybe, and get those facial expressions working on that character. I think that's a really good puzzle to solve, I think, so I definitely want to invest some time into it. All I'm going to do now is do a render, so we'll do the render part where we do take the sequence, put it into a PNG. Ron Skull says, oh, Sarah says, I've been polishing a foot. How do you find the line of it's enough and it's perfect? Don't do it's perfect, is my opinion on that. Just worry about it's enough, and then on the next time around, then get closer to it's perfect. The reason why I'm saying that is because if you spend too much time on one piece, for example, fingers on a hand, you could spend all this time polishing your fingers on a hand, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what? This body motion doesn't make sense. Let's change it over here. Now all this time spent polishing your fingers is wasted. And so you might as well just left the hands, paddle hands, maybe just put some basic poses in, and waited until you've kind of got to the end of the animation and went, okay, I'm definitely finished with the body motion. Let's put the polish of the fingers on afterwards. So it's important to kind of do it in that order. Tron Skull, I'm working on 3 different universes in my world building. 3 different universes? Holy cow, dude. I have a whole spiel about how to keep your scope really small. Like, keep your scope small so it's actually achievable. It's very important. And I know I am terrible for this, where I'm always like, oh, we can do it bigger, better. Yeah, let's do it. And then it ends up being too big. Alright, so we're going to quickly try to get this render in. I've got 2 minutes. So output is going to be somewhere close to where I was before, but not... yeah, fight scene, that looks good. And make sure we turn on cinematic mode. Oh, you know what Jeremy was telling me about is it's really good to look at the... oh shoot, what is it called now? Movie render queue. Where you can add in lots of different settings inside of the movie render queue. And I really don't know much about it yet. This is probably something I should have been spending some time learning about. But you can add a lot of the settings and stuff that you would normally need console commands for, and which is really neat because now you can like really bring in these console commands. Not to mention you can render passes, you can render multiple scenes together. You can do all the kind of stuff that you would normally expect from a film production exporting process. So very interesting. I should probably spend more time looking at this and getting this figured out because I can see that being really useful down the road. But meanwhile, I'm just using the old-fashioned way where we turn on our render movie settings and get all their cinematic mode turned on so it's nice high quality. We don't want any characters or anything. And my resolution is only at whatever that, I forget what resolution that's called. And it's a PNG sequence. So we'll just do that and render it out. And we'll move on. That rendered extremely fast. Did it actually render? Oh no, we're rendering it pure white. Oh, booger. So yeah, I've still got to fix the exposure problem. But unfortunately, I've run out of time now. I'm surprised I wasn't able to do it through here, actually. My exposure settings here. Maybe it's supposed to be -12. There, that's what it was. -12. I was in the wrong spectrum there. Alright, let's do it again. Save. Render. Let's just put it in a new folder here. Why is it putting in content? That's not good. Select folder, capture movie. There we go. Now we're getting renders. That, whoa, they look like they got some problems. Oh boy. Never ends. It almost feels like there's no shadows or something on those pieces. Like we're not getting shadows on this side of the meshes. So that would be another thing. Some things you don't see until you actually get it through a render. Anyway, they kind of look cool though from a perspective, from a far away perspective. So maybe we're on the right track. I don't know, we'll see. Anyways, I think I'll leave it there because I've run out of time. But thanks for everybody who showed up here. Appreciate everybody's patience with my stumbling around here. And hopefully we've sort of shared a few things that were useful. Oh, let me just read this there. Sarah says, listen to him, scope. Oh yeah, Sarah's saying scope, yes. Tron Skull, can you give me a tip on keeping it small? Just keep it small. I don't know, break it down to just the core principle. That's all you have to do. Sarah says, all my lecturers tell me to keep my scope smaller. There you go, awesome. Alright guys, take care. I'll see you again next week. Alright, cheers.